This is Comics Coast to Coast.
Hi, everybody. This is Brian Dunaway, and you're listening to Comics Coast to Coast, episode 301, the Adam Pilkington interview. Tonight, we're going to have Adam on the show and no Joel Duggan of Forge Publishing. Joel is out. He is doing, I hear, some busy work for book stuff. So good on him. Go over to Forge Publishing, check him out, and give him a little bit of support. We do love that guy. And also pressure him a little bit about Starcrossed Online. I know you're listening. Joel Duggan. Also with us tonight is Matthew Ducharme of Matt the Wad.
Hey-o.
Hi-o. Did I hear it sounded like a bird or something there for a second, or was that just you turning? You got animals in your house?
Well, I have a cat, but she does not sound like a bird.
Did I tell you that we was talking pre-show, and I was telling Matt about I've had house cats, and they're exclusive house cats. They're always inside, and they have been for about 3 years now. And this year we decided to start letting them go outside, and we go outside, and the cats are insane now. They are just absolutely freaking insane.
Call of the wild, man.
It is the call of the wild. It's terrible. Don't do it. If you're gonna either outside or inside, don't do the in between thing. Matt, does your cat go inside, outside, or is he kind of exclusive?
She's a little of both, but when we let her outside, we put her on a leash. Yeah, we're those people.
Yeah. Pictures. Snapchat me that. I want to see it. All right, enough cat talk. Let's get on to talk with Adam Pilkington. How are you, good sir?
I'm very good.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys. This is really great.
Oh, man.
We'll see how it goes, though, because I'm not much of a talker. No, it's just sometimes I'm really eloquent in the points that I need to make. I get to the point quickly, and I know what I'm talking about. And then other times I'll just kind of fly off a cliff of stream of consciousness and flub out of the discussion. So we'll see how it goes, man. We'll see if
we don't know what that's like. Brian.
You are going to fit right in here. Watch out, Joel. Right? Watch out, Joel. We got another Canadian, and we don't need you no more. By the way, Adam is in Canadian land. Specifically, where are you at in Canada?
The capital of Canada, the beautiful, freezing cold capital of Ottawa.
That is great. You can check out Adam's work over at GenandTheDragonKing.com. I suggest you do that now. Go look at the beautiful artwork over there. And that is Gen, Gen, and TheDragonKing.com. Spelled all the way out. You're also Giant Plaid Monk on Twitter, so you can get there quite easily. And correct. Adam, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing.
Sure, yeah. Well, I'm an animation diploma guy. I graduated from Algonquin College up here in Ottawa, and I toiled around the animation industry for a little bit. And then I learned to really appreciate the value of job stability and a consistent paycheck, so I went back to school. I got a digital certificate for media or something like that. I can't even remember what they sold me. It was a few $1,000s, but it was enough to get an interview with a startup game company.
Right. Now, was it digital media you said?
Yeah, something like digital media,
right.
Certificate in digital media. I don't know. Thousands of dollars. Yeah, they just
thousands.
I don't know, man. They throw like 3D modeling at you, HTML. They kind of like this giant pool of kind of general media stuff. So
right.
Anyway, so that's what I got. It was enough to get me an interview and a job at a startup game developer over in Sherbrooke, Quebec. So that was an adventure because Sherbrooke's our French, or Quebec is our French speaking province over here in Ottawa or Canada. So that was it was an adventure.
Can you tell us who that was and give me? Hey, look, I'll tell you what. I'm a gamer. I like to game, and when I saw that, I was like, yeah, I'm down with that. Can you tell us about it, or do you care? It's a little bit old work.
Absolutely, yeah. The company is called Golem Labs. I think they are still doing development. I worked there for a couple of years, and then I came back to Ottawa, and I actually worked for a company named Bitheads. Okay. And they've got a game development arm called Playbrains, and I did a bunch of game stuff with them. It's like most of my game career was with Bitheads. So
right, I played Playbrains.com. That sounds real familiar.
Yeah, we did a whole bunch of terribly named games. I don't know who was responsible for naming these
For
things.
what
They're the
platform?
worst. A whole bunch of them, actually.
Right.
We worked on an Xbox game, a PS3 game, and then moved mainly to mobile development because they're just easier projects to kind of bite off, So it's not like several years of development to get it out the door and then trying to win the lottery on whatever app store we're throwing it on, right? So, holy crud, yeah. So that was tough. So yeah, I mean, I moved on to game development, and I was a concept artist, game designer, level designer, did some user interface design, and then I moved on to, I started a family with my wife, and I'll be darned if these kids like to eat and have toys and clothes, and so the game artist salary wasn't cutting it anymore, so I had to get a big boy job. So
now I feel timid for complaining about my cats at the top of the show because kids are a real job.
Boy, oh boy!
Right.
Yeah.
Now, are those inside kids or outside kids? Because you can't have both.
They're both.
Right. Okay.
I get them outside as often as I can.
Right.
And I try to get outside too. I need to get some sun. I can't just be a pasty white guy in my basement drawing Gen all day. So
that is great because this generation is the first. I don't know if I don't want to say the first generation, but we're certainly one of the first generations to really have to look and go, okay, I have a desk job, and it seems like more and more of the country has desk jobs, and I include your country, my country, many countries. And so we're having to find this balance between health, being active, and being tied down to a desk for 8-12 hours. It used to be something that was really just for secretaries and animators, right? Sitting at a desk all day. And now so many of us are sitting at desk.
Well, it's a really, application and computer-driven kind of society right now. So that's when everybody's got a little crook in their back and they're hunched over their keyboards most of the day.
True story. True. How do you stay active? What do you do?
I do martial arts. I've been doing Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do for about 9 years now. Yeah. I'm not taught by Bruce Lee, unfortunately.
Do you make the sound?
Sometimes I do. I bring the yellow jumpsuit to class. It's great. Love it. Yeah, but I've been doing martial arts most of my adult life, and
that's a great way to stay in shape.
Yeah, it's been great. And kids, keeping up with the kids, that's exercise in itself too. So
that's good.
And we're a dog family. We walk dogs, so just get outside, especially when it's nice, man.
Oh, absolutely. Now you said Gin and the Dragon King, and I've been all like Jin. So I'm saying,
I know.
I'm saying it totally wrong.
Are we going to get into the GIF argument?
I hope not, because he's the one who named it. Adam's the one who named it, so I'm going to defer to his. No,
I looked it up. It's an actual Chinese name, and I checked the pronunciation to make sure. And it's Gen.
Gen. All right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It sounds like there's a lot of martial arts influence in storytelling and culture and everything. Are you heavily influenced by martial arts in the Orient?
Absolutely. This story is my love letter to all those things. I've been exposed to a lot of the biographies of martial artists over the years and the philosophy books. Even as a part of the training I do now, I've been there for 9 years, so I've moved up essentially to like the equivalent of the black belt level. Oh. And every test that he has you perform, there's a physical component, but also a philosophy one. And you need to write a test and read one of Bruce Lee's favorite books. So there are 3 books in particular that have influenced the Gen story, and they're the Book of 5 Rings, The Art of War, and The Unfettered Mind. Those are the ones we had to read for Jeet Kune Do. So.
Oh, nice.
There's a lot of philosophy that goes into, my understanding of it. I can't purport to be an expert in all this stuff, but just what I've absorbed over the years. And
you are our resident expert right now, because I know nothing about none of this.
Yeah.
But you are sucking me in, because I am a sucker when it comes to backstory, and you gave me a lot to look at. So I probably can read the Book of 5 Rings to kind of figure out what's going on there. But what you said, The Art of War?
The Art of War, yep.
Right.
And,
well, that's a big read.
That's a big. Well, it's actually a smaller book than you expect it to
Is
be.
it
It's
good?
only 115, 20 pages or something like that.
Yeah.
But
Well, you got a war to fight. You got time to read.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
guys. Like, got a simple messaging and get it out to the masses so they can go kill people. You know?
Right. No, that's fun. Okay, so I love this background stuff, but let's get into the actual comic.
No.
No, we're gonna back it up.
On
Okay.
this track, because I this relates to a question I want to ask.
Yes.
Because I got the sense right away that he's put a lot of time into world building. So I'm wondering, how many sketches or pages of notes do you have about this storyline?
Wow. Gen is actually just a slice of the overall story, and it's probably 4 or 5 sketchbooks full of this stuff I've been working on since I was probably in my teens. And this is ultimately the culmination of, this is the first part, and God, I'm nearing 40 now, so I'm going to be a 95-year-old man when I finally tell it all, I'm sure. But but yeah, it's been a long time coming for sure. And I had a lot to use for Gen's story. I kind of just picked pieces here and there. Gen isn't all just about kind of the Asian cultural influence. That's kind of just his corner of the world. So as he leaves the mountain, well, spoiler alert, he's going to leave the mountain. You're going to see the rest of the world that he lives in, and it's going to be quite diverse and different.
Right. I like that. And okay, so if you haven't already went to the website, Gen and the Dragon King, which I pronounced incorrectly, people who knew right away, right? It was like, Brian,
I'm sure. No, I think you were poisoned by Gen 13. Is that the
yeah? That's
90s comic. Yeah, I understand. I was a little concerned. Yeah.
Yeah, we got inundated with that word back in the 90s. So yeah, absolutely. Now you can read the entire the whole story is there, right? The first chapter is there, right, on that website.
It is up to page 30 of 36 right now. I've been releasing a page a week. So chapter was done before I even started posting. So
interesting.
I had this brilliant idea of having the first issue in hand,
right,
and then assuming that the audiences will be clamoring after they, read this story that they fall in love with week to week. They don't want to wait for the full 36 pages, so they'll go straight to Amazon and buy 100 million copies. Right? So that's the dream, right?
Right.
So that didn't. I got some sales. It didn't totally happen that way, but that kind of philosophy is sort of dependent on a built-in audience. So I'm happy to I'm in no rush. I'm a patient man, so I can let it kind of drip out into the world and see if it has any resonance with anyone. So.
Right. Sounds like you're taking the philosophy of the art of war, kind of wait and see. Isn't that kind of?
That's part of it. Yeah. That's part of it.
It's like chapter 3. I don't know. So all right.
Yeah.
So yes, you can purchase. I can run to Amazon right now, right? If I read the first 30, which by the way is a lot to read, and it's beautiful, and you won't even realize it until you're done. You're like, oh, I'm done. You can head to Amazon and get the whole thing. How many pages is the whole chapter?
36 pages, opening chapter.
Right. Love it. And so you completed chapter 1 already, right? I mean, it's obvious because it's on Amazon for sale, Brian. Hello. Right? So it's got to be done. Yeah. So are you currently working on chapter 2? And if so, how far along are you?
There's going to be a bit of a hiatus between 1 and 2. I am currently working on it. I'm at the kind of rough, clean stage of treating the pages. So thumbnails are done, dialogue's done, and I'm just working on the very slow process of getting it all kind of tightened up and finished. So probably, what are we now, June?
Right. Oh, well,
or
not quite.
May, June? No, we're in May right now.
We're in May, barely.
God,
we're
sorry, I'm a father. I just lose all track of time. It's the worst.
Whose birthday is it this week?
Yeah.
Don't one of you kids have a birthday soon?
As soon as your kid hits kindergarten, you got 30 birthdays a month. It's ridiculous. Anyway, it's going to be probably late this year, early next year. So I'm going to be filling that void with something else, actually. So I'm in the midst of reworking my very first webcomic, and I'm going to re-release that on Tapas and on Lion Webtoon for the summer kind of hiatus release. So we'll see how that goes.
So you mentioned Tapas. That was the next thing I was wanting to talk about. So nice segue into that. Tapas, Tapas.io. is where you can go and read many of these great comics, and yours is right up there with some of the best on there. And you have gotten a lot of feedback on this site. Is it just the number of people who were there, or did you just really turn heads?
I won a mini lottery on my first few days of posting. I got featured on the front web page as one of kind of the staff picks. Yeah, I was really fortunate, I think, because there are tens of thousands of comics on this thing, and
yeah,
I mean, I'm making a little dent. It's a modest dent. I've got 1,100 subscribers, and I get comments. It's a fantastic community. I really love the feedback from it so far. It's been really encouraging to see. But man, I'm not even going to pretend to be in the league of some of the greats that are on there with millions of views and tens of thousands of subscribers. Like, I've got a ways to go yet, but but it's been great. And Webtoon was a bit of a slower build. I didn't win the little mini lottery over there, but it's building. And no, feedback has been fantastic. I recommend. I would have to say, like, if you really have sincere work that you put effort into, and you try your best to make a great first impression, you get a chance to kind of catch the attention of whomever's running the site in question, and getting featured and getting some eyes on you. So.
This is great. This is I've seen a lot of Tapas stuff over the last couple of years, but I just saw a lot of noise, and so I kind of been avoiding those, because a lot of the stuff I've been seeing was just through social media. This person has something, and that connects to another person. So a lot of Instagram navigating for me, but. Man, this site, and I'm sure I'm the last to the party, but Tapas is like, wow, look at all these freaking comics.
Yeah, it's booming right now for sure.
It's big time booming. And you mentioned Webtoons as well, webtoons.com. I'm looking at that as well. They seem to have a little more mix of a little more mix of different styles, whereas lots of these on Tapas kind of seems more like action oriented kind of. Comic strips doesn't seem
very heavily kind of Japanese manga influence to the most, I would say. So I'm kind of bummed that I don't have that style. I might have even gotten a few more eyes on.
True story.
But whatever, style kind of creates itself as you go. So I'm not going to be too concerned with that.
Right. Well, I'm enjoying it, and I'm glad. So, what benefits you more, just as a content creator? Is it having people go to your website, Gin and the Dragon King, or is it going through Tapas, or is it kind of a whole combination of all? Or have you not even thought about this? Like, Brian, you're asking me new information. I have no idea.
No, I have. At this stage in the game where I'm trying to build audiences, it's actually more valuable for someone to subscribe through Tapas or from Line Webtoon, because as my numbers grow, I'm not sure what the secret algorithm is just yet, but if I hit that magical number of subscribers and commenters and likes and everything, I think I kind of jump tiers into potentially, pools of front web pages and everything. So, and Tapas actually has introduced a tipping option. So your subscribers can kind of throw you kind of artificial coins your way, which can translate into actual payouts. So,
right.
And it's so, yeah, I haven't made millions of dollars or anything, but I'm actually seeing revenue go up at Tapas, which has been really, really neat too. So at this stage, ultimately I'm going to always maintain Gin and the Dragon King. I'm going to be posting different things there. I want to turn it into something a little more than it is. It's pretty bare bones right now, but just phase one.
Hey, I dig it. Any way you can get content in other people's eyes, and even more so as a content creator, it's like we struggle so much with the actual process of creating. We don't feel like dealing with the publishing as well. My God, I don't want to be a publishing expert. And places like Tapas and Webtoons seems to be kind of bridging that gap. And good, because I've seen a lot of these sites pop up over the years, and they just never seem to take hold. But this seems to really have captured something. that may be the future?
There are quite a number of sites that are. I think Tapestry and Line Webtoon are taking the lead because of their kind of advanced user interface.
Right.
They're really taking kind of the UX approach to designing their sites. There's some other kind of competitors, the Smack Jeeves and kind of webcomic lists and everything, who are still kind of stuck in the old kind of 1990s-esque website design, and that turns a lot of people off, so including me. I couldn't figure out how to use these sites, so naturally
go ahead. Yeah.
I ended up naturally gravitating towards the kind of more premium looking sites. So
right, and it's all to do with the with mobile and being able to look at things in different. Being able to view something logically in different formats, whether it be on my my phone or my tablet or my computer. I want all the experiences. I'm a greedy consumer.
You and everyone else, absolutely. It makes a huge difference that it's accessible on the phone, and that actually really alters. It doesn't alter the format again too much, but. I kind of designed the pages for print initially, thinking of like Comixology and that sort of thing. But when I started posting to Tapas and to Line Webtoon, you really see that the vertical kind of direction of your art is really important. And some people take much more advantage of it than others. Like mine are just kind of static comic pages. But you go and you find some of the kind of the upper tier creators on these platforms, and they're actually designing their pages top to bottom, and you're going to scroll through it, and kind of it's a very different reading experience. And Tapas and Line Webtoon are only too happy to kind of feature you if you sort of take advantage of that format like that. So I think when I'm revisiting my first web comic that I made, I'm going to be structuring it that way. I'm going to be converting it to kind of a vertical view. And see how it goes. Right.
Now, so when you were back getting your digital media certificate, and you were looking at UX design, I remember back in the day it was more like, oh no, you don't want people scrolling forever. You don't want them doing that. That's not the right thing. We didn't see the potential of a phone and a thumb flick.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. It's much worse to kind of scroll down 10 pages by trying to target that little scroll bar on the right side of the screen with your mouse pointer. But now it's just common. It's second nature for everyone using lists or page views at galleries, all on mobile. It's all the flick. You're right.
Right. I hate you, scroll bar.
Yeah, exactly. Go.
I hate you so much, Matt. What do you think about the scroll bar? What's your opinion on the scroll bar? Is it dead like Clippy? Is it?
I don't know. I think there's always going to be a place for it. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just old. But I gotta rewind for a second here, because he's talked about his comic a few times as like a long-term thing, phase one, that sort of thing. So, I mean, long-form stories take a lot of commitment. So I'm wondering what made you decide to commit on this particular project?
Definitely learning about storytelling through the books I've read, articles I've been, podcasts and all that stuff, just being generally interested in it. It's the kind of story that I really feel like I'm suited to tell, and I think I'd be pretty good at it, hopefully, and it's just the kind of story I enjoy telling. It did get away from me a little bit, though. I have grand ideas, and I really did my darndest to kind of chip out Gen's story into a smaller slice that I could get done in a relatively short amount of time. But, you're in the midst of it, and you get excited, and you're like, oh, you know what? This character's really cool. Let's go to this character. Oh, there's a flying boat. And all of a sudden, let's go to this magical, forest. And so I'm stuck with, like, I don't know, a 10-chapter minimum kind of deal. So I guess long story short, that's what I like to tell. I think I'm suited to it, but it did kind of expand a little more than I wanted it to.
Right.
But whatever. That's part of the fun.
Sometimes you let the story lead you. It says, you go where it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's more fun anyway, right, Matt?
Definitely. I'm the opposite. I mean, I'm sure that's fun, but me, I need to plan everything out.
Well, you do animation, so I mean, you can't really be in the middle of an animation and then go, I think I'm going to do something else.
Yeah, you end up losing lots of man hours doing that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's not without its planning, though. I am a Virgo. Like I'm quite structured in my approach. So I've actually got everything kind of plugged out, bullet point form. I've got the arc worked out, and I'm just in the midst of breaking down chapter by chapter and going through it that way. So I know how I want it to end, and I know more or less how I'm getting there. So
right.
I've got a direction at least. It's not like this goalless approach that some people kind of fall into the trap of.
Right.
So the writing world calls them pantsers. They just kind of write by the seat of their pants.
Yeah, you can't. You got to have a destination. If you don't, you end up watching Lost for 3 or 4 seasons too long.
Yes, exactly. And well, just not to mention the art that goes into like the artistic component. Like it is quite an investment to render all those darn backgrounds and draw the cute little Gen guy a million times, over years and years. So absolutely, you got. I like to have a direction and a bit of a plan and a breakdown of where I'm going. So
right now, I'll tell you, in the beginning, your backgrounds were like, oh my God, mind blowing, and you kind of as you started getting in closer with the dialogue instead of the exposition, you started getting closer with the characters, and it moves a little faster. But I don't see as many of those backgrounds. Is that for expediency purposes, or is that just how the story has gone so far? Or
no, it's absolutely a fair comment. I'm a firm believer in a strong establishing shot. So I put kind of all of the eggs into that basket. This is where you are. And then as I move into the dialogue of the characters, I kind of zoom in and blur out the background so that it becomes a bit more about their exchanges.
Right.
And it lets me, be a little lazy and just splash color behind them and get the darn page done. So it's a combination. It's the balance, right? It's
that's not lazy. That's this time. That is timing. You're absolutely right.
Yeah,
you set up your location, just like a film. So you kind of following the film story formatting, where you kind of start with your long shot and establish your location, and then get in a little bit closer. So. Interesting. So where did you learn your storytelling style? Was it something you learned on your own, or did you learn that while you was in, getting your certificate, or what happened there?
Well, yeah, I mean, the animation diploma was a 2-year plan. So there were definitely kind of film language and storyboarding type classes that you took. I would say most of the influence comes from the animation diploma, that program that I took.
Right.
And then, you continue learning after you're done school. And I really moved towards narrative structure and kind of movie storytelling. And that was more just hobbyist, buy a cool book and read it and see what I can absorb and apply. So,
right.
But yeah, my sketchbooks have probably more writing in them than they do art. Like I've been very balanced in my development, I guess, of all this. So I guess that's why I'm in my late 30s and just starting now, because I just, I've got this figured out. I can kind of draw and kind of write. All right, let's do something with it.
Right.
So.
Well, beautiful artwork. Nothing against fine art. I love fine art, but if you really want to capture someone's attention and hold their attention, storytelling is the best way to do it. You can capture somebody's attention easily with a beautiful piece of artwork or a beautiful mood in a piece of work, but to keep them, that storytelling is so important. And absolutely, if you write more, then you're going to know what you're going to draw when you get to that point, right?
Yeah,
because you've already got it mapped out.
It is interesting how many artists, when they're early in their career or whatever, they resist that.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not the writing. I just have to have the best art.
Right.
And it's funny to see like the different points at which people will realize, oh no, I have to learn that too.
Right.
Or I have to get a writer.
I'm a storyteller.
Just as important. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's why I turned it into kind of a graphic novel to kind of marry the two. I could have just as soon continued my animation career and done just layouts, just characters, and just cleanup, But I really gravitated towards the writing part too, and I thought, well, this is probably how you get it across, because can somehow wrangle $10 million together and make a Final Fantasy role-playing game and have it all put together in a really cool way. I'm just a one-man show, so
right.
Go with what you know.
Right. Are you excited about, speaking of Final Fantasy and that whole era of gaming, have you seen the new Tekken 7 teaser they're doing for the one coming out this year?
No, I missed it. What's going on with that?
There's an 8-bit recap of the Tekken series and the story, and you don't realize how harsh and ultraviolet that story really is until you recap it in this little cutesy 8-bit teaser they
hilarious.
have. So yeah, absolutely. If you haven't seen it, I'll try to put a link in the show notes as well. But yeah, if you, after the show or whatever, if you get a chance to take a look at that teaser trailer, it's a lot of fun. Oh, speaking of teaser trailers, boy, I'm getting off track now, but my God, I was so excited today when I saw that Netflix is doing a TV series version of The Dark Crystal. I mean,
no, I missed that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, is that not exciting? Did you watch that growing up?
Oh, probably 10 times a day. I was obsessed with that movie.
So
man, that and Labyrinth, the Never-Ending Story. That was
I
just drove my parents insane with watching those over and over again. Yeah.
But I don't know how late I was to the boat, but I just discovered today that Netflix has this project where they're apparently still early in development, but it's going to be the live action puppets and everything. Jim Henson's Dark Crystal. Do you know the series is going to be called something else though? Do you know what the series name is, Matt? I can't remember off the top of my head.
It was like Resistance or something.
Right.
Resistance was part of it. I don't know. The Age of Resistance, I think.
Something like that. Very close to that. Yeah, if you get a chance.
I gotta look it up.
A matter of fact, I'll plop that here in the show. And so if you're looking at the video on YouTube, check it out. I will cut right here, and you can watch the trailer in many view. I'll put it like right here. It'll be a lot of fun. But no, I'm super super excited about that.
Man, they've been ruling the roost lately. They've been putting out some quality stuff. You just can't go wrong with the Netflix subscription. I'm pretty happy with my $11 a month or whatever they're charging me. I'm game. I'm down.
Matt, do you have Netflix?
Oh, I do indeed. Netflix and Amazon Prime. I figure they're both kind of cheap enough. Might as well.
Well,
Nice.
la-di-da, look at Matt.
Yeah, Mr. Richie Pants.
No, apparently Matthew's doing better than we thought he was doing. I suppose you're getting HBO Go next.
Oh man.
No.
Nah.
Two streaming services is enough for me.
Right? All right. So, okay. So you had a few, Matt, how about you ask a question? I think you had a very interesting question.
Yeah, because he brought up something where he talked about referring to a story in terms of a video game. So that kind of threw me off. I'm like, oh, is that maybe how you're envisioning it? Because as I was reading it, I was almost picturing like a storyboard for Pixar-style film. So which one do you picture while you're working on it?
Hey man, I'll take them. All of them. All of the above. Am I allowed to say that? I think that's every creator's dream, right? To get an option for a game or for a movie. I think.
Oh yeah.
But if you had your choice between
between the two, I would have to say a video game.
Yeah.
I think it would have to go that way. I guess just I've had roots in game development as well. It would be really exciting. I'd really geek out seeing that happen. That would be pretty amazing.
I like that. I think that's the first time we've had that answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, right on.
I'm intrigued. Now you got me hooked. All right. So what is it about video games that you feel is perhaps maybe a better storytelling medium?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I don't think games are there just yet. I think virtual reality is going to play a big part in kind of immersing us just that extra little bit and being able to really tell a story. There are some of the AAA Prime developers that are telling great stories. Gone Home comes to mind. Uncharted is very, very movie-like in its kind of approach to game design.
Last of Us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but what I love about it is that you can it's the immersion factor. It's 3D. It's now it's going to be all encompassing 3D coming up in the next 5-10 years, right? So
Right.
I just love the way that environments can tell you as much as a story as the characters walking around them. It's not just about what the characters are saying to each other. It's kind of the ancient cavern that they're talking in, or the temple that they're in front of. Like you can really let it breathe and take your time walking around and just exploring the world. And I think that would be super exciting to see Gen's world sort of in full 3D. I can walk around it and hear birds chirping and watch grass kind of flowing in the wind. That's pretty. I geek out at that stuff.
Well, I guess that would be really living the dream, huh?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I
We'll
want
see.
to.
Yeah.
I want to step in your dream world for a minute. That's awesome. I would love to do that. And so do you have any type of VR equipment currently?
No, I've
want
yet to. I know. I wanted to. I've got the PS4, and that's
Yeah.
essentially kind of my in. I think
Mhm.
I'm gonna.
For only
See
a
where
mere more $400, you can pick up a
Oh.
Sony.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Up in Canada, it's approaching 800. on our
Wow.
end, so
Right. Oh
when
man.
you're all in, you get the controllers and the little PlayStation Eye controller or whatever it is. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, want it so bad, and I really want it for a stupid reason. Really, I would love to play Rick and Morty because I want more of that content, and the creative team is really focused in on that right now, and not the animated series that I'm desperately waiting for. But I want that content, and it's so stupid that I would go out and I would even consider, dropping $600 just so I could play some Rick and Morty. That's ridiculous, but I'm
very
totally
good.
down to that. All right, so hey, listen, we put out the call on Twitter, and we asked if anyone had any questions they would like to ask Adam, and we did. We got a question here from super fan Jason Cobill, I believe it is. Jason Cobill. He has several questions, and so he's got 4 of them. So we're gonna see what we want to answer. You don't have to answer. You can just say no comment if you want to. But
Pass. Don't like
Nah,
it.
don't.
Yeah, okay, great.
that's a
Fake
stupid
news.
question. What do you think? All right, no, it's got some really good questions. Okay, here we go. What does Adam do when he feels he's in a creative rut?
Oh yes. Well, I think it's about your frame of mind, really. I try not to think of it as a rut when I hit it. Again, it's such a long burn project, and there's really always something different to do on it. I don't need to be actually finishing a page to make progress on it, right?
Right.
I could be thumbnailing future chapters, plotting, fixing dialogue, creating ad banners, even keeping up with comments on the community sites like Tapas and Line Webtoon. So as long as I'm chipping away in some way, if I'm just having a garbage drawing night, I can kind of revector. I can move in and do something else, and still get something done. It's fairly rare that I don't want to work on Gen, but in the case that there is, I do have a couple of kind of other balls that I'm juggling. The other one is the kind of the revival of the old webcomic that I'll be kind of looking to. So that's different kind of work. It's a very different style, very different subject matter and content. So it's kind of a real kind of flip to what I would be doing if I were to be drawing Gen.
Right.
And the other is like a card game design, going back to my game design roots. I'm kind of doing a tabletop card game. So that's a totally different line of thinking and a creative kind of endeavor. So just keep myself motivated and doing other things as well.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like a great way to keep on moving, because you're like a shark.
Yes.
You got to keep moving. You can't stop. Okay. The next question he asked was actually one we've kind of answered. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like we mostly answered that one earlier in maybe that third question.
Yeah, that's what I was going to. You want to read the third question, Matt?
I'll take it.
Do it.
So, how did Adam decide on the final look and color palette of Gen and the Dragon King? Do the colors he used have any special significance? What was he trying to achieve in the tone of the visuals, and does he feel like he got that in the final book?
Oh, wow. Very insightful.
Right.
Okay. Well, I want to say that I had a very kind of predetermined, meditated on the approach, but I really just kind of winged the color part, honestly. I was so tired of being so tight with all the pencils and working out all the lines. When I got to the coloring stage, I used this fat, scratchy brush. I just started splashing stuff everywhere. And I found something that I kind of liked. And going back to the reference of kind of all the Asian art, like Asian watercolor and ink drawings and everything like that, it kind of landed on something that's a little inspired by that, a little evocative of that, where they kind of just let the color explode past the lines and really expressive, strong brushwork. And so you'll see that reflected in some of the pages. The colors are, I think that's just me working years in mobile games, and everything is like super candy, saturated colored. And I just ended up sort of liking that kind of very strong, eye-burning kind of approach to some of my pages. Right. But really, there's no secret. I'm just messing around and having fun with it. And I kind of landed on something that I was happy with. I'm like, all right, great. I didn't have to work that hard and labor over it, like, too hard. So
I like it. It flows, especially when you lay it out like you did. It's an interesting flow of how the color changes slowly from page to page. I really dig it. It's like I don't know how to explain it, but you did a great job. You did a great job there.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. I was really, absolutely. I was trying to kind of create a color palette for each scene.
Right.
So when you see the change, you see a new kind of layout or a background, but you'll also see a color shift, and that kind of hopefully to indicate to the reader, oh, I'm somewhere else, or I'm going somewhere, something's happening. So that's what I was aiming for.
Very consistent, very thorough, very good. One last question from superfan Jason. By the way, if you have questions for any upcoming guests, I usually post those on Twitter, twitter.com/comics C2C, and I'll send out a request for questions, and you can send any of your questions to guys@comicscoasttocoast.com. And here is our last question from superfan Jason. How does Adam feel about the sanctity or fluidity of original work? Is it possible he will someday revisit Gin, got it, and the Dragon King, this, and make edits?
I have to admit that I have already changed a little bit of Gen Chapter 1. I went back, the scene in Gen's room where he's carving the statue, that establishing shot, it was just too darn empty the first time. So I had to go back and add in some little elements. But I'm lucky to have a wife that keeps me in check when she notices that stuff. So I'm moving forward. I'm pressing forward. But for me, it's wicked hard. I'm sure most artists have the same story, but you're never fully satisfied with everything. So you kind of pull a Lucas and go back and tinker a little bit.
Right.
Hopefully not overdo it.
I didn't need Jabba the Hutt.
All of my work. Yeah.
It's such a hard line to find, though, and we all have to deal with it. Like, how much is enough to show someone?
Right.
You have to decide, because we could tinker forever, but at some point you have to be like, no, done, moving on.
Do you know what that sounds like, Matt? It almost sounds like the tables turning, where Adam threw a question in the show notes for us.
Yeah, what do you think?
We never get questions. All right. So I'm going to ask the question and see if it kind of follows along what you just said, Matt. My question to each of you, this is in Adam's voice. What is your creative mantra? What lesson have you learned along the way that has resonated with you and you try to live by? Is that what you were just talking about, Matt, or is it you got a little different mantra there?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, well, for me, it was, I realized I had that line too deep into the perfection side of things.
Right.
And I realized I had to loosen up quite a bit, because if you're constantly polishing things, then no one ever sees it, and you get tired working on it, and you feel like you're getting nowhere. I, in general, feel like it's much better to release something that you think is even half-assed, but just have it out there, because until it's out there, it doesn't exist.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great mantra to have. What do you think about that, Adam? Does that approve? You approve of that answer?
Oh, no, that's a great answer to me. I think we're all on similar pages. I mean, I want to hear Brian's actually first before I.
Right.
This is my question to you guys. So.
All right. So my answer is this: it's kind of in the same ball field of what you guys are talking about, but in my early career, I was so convinced that the only way to have any success was to be entirely unique, meaning that I didn't want to base my work. I didn't want to stand on anybody's shoulders. This was the biggest foolish mistake I ever made in my life. You always have to stand on the shoulders of others. If not, you're a lonely grub down the bottom. And so I spent so much time developing a style that was absolutely unique. The only problem was, just like any language, I'm talking this crazy language no one's ever heard. And so my clarity of expressing myself was not there for the reader. So I'm going, hey, look, I've got this real unique taste. And they're all looking and going, I don't think I really care for avocado and peanut butter, Brian. Your language makes no sense. And so eventually I had to say, stop it, Brian. Go back and tell the simple story. It's okay to tell the Romeo and Juliet story for the 1 millionth time if you do it from, an interesting angle. But, you don't have to be entirely unique from the top to the bottom. You can have one or two unique things and try to stay away from the story. Just let the story be, crisp and clear and, and relatable so anyone can understand it. So that's kind of my creative mantra. Take what's already there. If it's already there and is strong and is sturdy, then build your uniqueness upon that. And that's kind of helped me move a little faster. That's enough rambling for me.
Well, that is definitely another one of the struggles that we have as artists. Creativity versus relatability.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, great stuff. Sweet.
Oh, thank you. We like questions.
Yeah.
Next time we're going on Adam's podcast.
Yeah. All those podcasts I have time for. Yeah.
Please don't start another podcast. Oh, my God. That's exactly what we need, right?
I think there's plenty. I love them, though. I consume them like mad. That's my entire workday is just hours of podcasts. That's how I do any of my learning these days. It's fantastic.
It's so much fun. And did I mention during the show already one time that Ray Hernandez was been or was that pre-show? Did I mention his mini request for?
I think that was pre-show.
Pre-show. Okay. So anyway, we have a listener who has been fantastic. He's on a little bit of break, and he has been going back through our archive. And embarrassingly, when I migrated from our last hosting service to this one, I wasn't able to put everything on the new server as quick as I'd wanted to. And so there's a bunch of holes. And so he's been going back through and going, hey, man, where's this interview at? And I'm like, I'll get it. But he's been great about it. He's been wonderful. I love it. He's really invigorated me into wanting to get the archive back up. And so
that'd be great.
Yeah. So if you're going through the archive and you've been frustrated in the past about where's it at, it's there. And if it's not there, guys at Comics Coast to Coast, I will put it up as quick as possible. And some of those old interviews, I can't listen to myself. So good luck for you because it was
that's a sign of improvement, Brian. And it means you're progressing, making things better.
It's got to be. So Matt, you know what time it is?
I do indeed. It's time for the big question.
Do it.
The final question. So, Adam, if there's any artists that our listeners should be following, besides yourself, of course, who should they be following and where can they find their work?
Yeah, I'm going to name 3, if that's okay.
Do it. Name 3.
These are the 3 most influential to my work on GAN for sure. So, first is Chris Oatley. He's made quite a little empire for himself. He's an ex-Disney artist, and he started kind of an online learning academy called the Oatley Academy. He releases tons of content, podcasts, and learning resources and everything. I can't recommend his stuff enough. It totally got me kind of on the path of making my own graphic novel.
Right.
I quickly, from there, found Jason Brubaker, and he's the author of Remind. I think his second title is called Sithra. But he has a really great book I've got in audio form, and I listen to it a lot while I'm making GAN. It's called Unnatural Talent, and it's kind of his his experience in creator-owned projects, kind of getting Remind together and fulfilling Kickstarter demands and everything. It's a really interesting read or listen, however you consume it.
And this is beautiful work too, by the way. I am really taking this.
He's another Pixar, or he's worked in kind of animation industry stuff as well. And the last one is not a visual artist, but I can't recommend his work enough. I've been trumpeting this guy over Twitter. I think he's probably annoyed with me by now. But his name is Brian McDonald. Right. And if you are at all interested in any way in the art of storytelling, you totally need his book called Invisible Ink. It's like my Bible for how I put story together. So it's a quick read. He's an excellent teacher, and he writes in a way that it's very easy to kind of understand and consume and learn from. Go get that book.
Right. Now, that's not an Audible book, right? That's you got to read it with your fingers and thumbs. It may be available in audio format. I'm not sure. I've read it with my fingers and thumbs. It's collecting dust, and it's got it's all kind of frayed, and I've got one of those awful kind of corner, book markers where you fold over It's, I've really abused that poor little book. Matt, how many times we told our guests not to send me to Amazon? Because you know what happens. I totally zone out.
There goes the week's pay right there.
I gotta order that and that, and I gotta have one of those. And oh my God! All right, Adam, thank you so much for being on the show. We really do appreciate it. We were short one Canadian, and you fit.
Oh, that's okay.
You fit right in there, man.
Oh, great, fantastic! Thanks so much for having me, guys. It was a real thrill for me too.
Absolutely. And so, if you don't remember, you do need to go to GinandTheDragonKing.com if you really want to help out. What can they do? Go to Amazon and pick this up.
Go to Amazon, pick it up, or heck, subscribe at Tapas and throw me a couple tips. I'll throw you a free PDF once you tip up beyond 1,000 coins, which is fairly easy to do. So that's my little kind of incentive giveaway for tipping, and it's been great. But anyway, just read my stuff and retweet it if you like it. I mean, that's super helpful too. So
it is. I follow you on Twitter at Giant Plaid Monk. It's a lot of fun. Thank you for keeping us up to date on there. I will continue to follow you, and I want you to, when you take your little break, take your little nap or whatever you need to do, Adam, and when you get ready to relaunch that webcomic, do it for just a minute, and then come on the show, and we'll talk about it again. We really enjoyed having you on.
That'd be fantastic. That'd be awesome. Thanks a lot, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time tonight. We really appreciate that. Also, you can follow Matt at...
probably the best thing to do is just look up my work on YouTube. Just do a search for Matthew Ducharme or Matt the Wad.
YouTube. We need to get the Trek nerd on here to give us a YouTube shout out. If you don't listen to Frog Pants, head on over and do some Frog Pants stuff. Also follow me at the Brian Dunaway. Everything we do for Comics Coast to Coast is on Twitter at Comics C2C. As you notice, we're a little Twitter heavy. We're trying to get out of that. We got a Facebook page and other things too, but we'll get there, right, Matt? We will. We'll get there. If you like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/comicsc2c and show us just a little bit of your sweet, sweet loving, just like $1, like 50 cents, 10 cents. 10 cents a show. That's cheap. And I'll even archive it. It'll be fantastic. You'll enjoy it. That's it. We'll see you guys next week.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Comics Coast to Coast. This is my voice.